Right. So once again, guys, I'm sure we know what we're gonna be planning, or rather what we're gonna be doing in this webinar. So let me sort of give a brief overview of this whole sort of webinar. So the increasing digitization of services and children's widespread access to digital platforms have raised significant concerns about their privacy and data protection. For example, here in Kenya, children frequently use digital applications independently, which always or usually exposes them to risks such as data breaches, misuse of personal information, and online exploitation. The current legal frameworks that even include Kenya's Data Protection Act offer limited guidance, addressing specifically addressing the protection of children's data, leading to gaps in governance, enforcement, and implementation. And addressing these challenges require a multi-stakeholder approach, which involves input from children, legal experts, policymakers, and child advocates to better safeguard the children in the digital age. And this webinar aims to sort of raise awareness on the very much importance of protecting the data of children, examine the legal gaps in existing frameworks, and explore practical issues surrounding children's independent access to digital platforms. And by providing a platform for dialogue between key stakeholders, the webinar will also seek to brainstorm actionable strategies for improving children's data security. Discussions will basically include an overview of our current laws, the emerging trends, opportunities for policy reforms, and ethical issues like parental consent and informed decision-making. Ultimately, the goal is to foster collaboration among the participants to develop solutions that prioritize that is the children's data rights and ensure our safety online. So yeah, just in case you didn't know what we're gonna be doing in the webinar. But yeah, so once again, guys, this is the Child's Data Protection and Legal Issues webinar. We're gonna be running for hopefully an hour and a half.
If I may say something, hi Alamin and hi everyone. My name is Grace. I'm from the Data Privacy and Governance Society, and we are a society of professionals dealing with issues of privacy and other data governance issues. We are really, really glad to be here. I must say, I'm pleasantly surprised to hear from actual children, so that we don't end up in the space where we speak on behalf of children. That is the most pleasant thing about this webinar, in my view. And so I just want to join Alamin in welcoming everyone and asking everyone to feel free to interact, send questions, and use this really golden opportunity to hear from the voices of the children themselves.
I'm glad that you're joining us, and I'm glad that you feel glad that the children are also here, because I feel like you can't have a sort of situation where you're talking about problems that concern, or rather issues that concern children, without having the children themselves to put in their say. So I'm glad that you find that okay. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Kaberi. There was a technical issue, so I'm going to promote Grace and Alamin as panelists so that you can be able to see their faces. and Esther Angie. So just give them a minute. But in the meantime, let's introduce ourselves. I can see we are about 33 in this room. So if you can be able to introduce ourselves in the chat, just your name and where you come from, and something about data and children that you'd want to see change or included, or the Data Protection Act is 5 years, and what's something that has changed over the last 5 years. That would be lovely, so that when we are working with ODPC, we can tell them this has changed. So if you can be able to share, that on our chat box, as I am promoting Grace and Al-Amin to be able to have this conversation. I can't see the chat, guys. Al-Amin, are you back? You can take over your meeting.
Yes, I'm back. Hi, Miss Jenny. Hi, thank you.
Hi. Thank you, Shali from Kisumu. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Kamira. Thank you from Nakuru. Oh, nice. Okay. No, that's my hometown. That's why I'm saying nice. Let's all just what we're doing, and then Al-Amin, back to you. Al-Amin?
Right. Thank you so much for that, Miss Jenny. Right. I feel like I was talking to myself earlier, but thank you, Miss Jenny, for giving me this opportunity to basically be here. Let me figure out how to switch on this camera in the meanwhile. But hi everyone once again. My name is Al-Amin Ahmed, but most people prefer to call me Al. Seems easier for them that way, or Amin, whichever seems easier for you guys. Once again, I'd like to formally invite you guys to the hopefully there we go. All right. Hi guys, Amin here, or Al. I'd like to formally invite you guys, or rather welcome you guys to the child webinar on data protection. I'm sure, or rather I hope y'all were able to hear through basically what I was saying on the brief overview of the sort of webinar itself, where we're going to be basically tackling some issues that we feel as children in terms of data we need to tackle, and maybe perhaps come up with the solutions to those problems. Also, I won't be the only host for this webinar. There's also Esther Angie, who I'm gonna let introduce herself, so we can get a sort of understanding of who the two hosts are. Esther, if you're here, take on the stage.
Esther Angie is joining back as a panelist, so you can go on, Al-Amin.
Okay, all right. So once again, guys, if we don't know what we're doing at this webinar, I'm just gonna give another short brief overview. Once again, this webinar aims to raise awareness of the importance of protecting our rights, that is the children's data, or rather our data, that is us, the children's data, to examine the legal gaps in existing frameworks and explore practical issues surrounding children's independent access to digital platforms. And by providing a platform for dialogue between key stakeholders, the webinar will also seek to brainstorm actionable strategies for improving children's data security. That is us, right, guys? And discussions will basically include a whole overview of the current laws that are already in place, the emerging trends, opportunities for policy reform, and ethical issues like parental consent and informed decision making. Ultimately, our main goal for this is to basically foster collaboration among us, the participants, to develop the solutions that prioritize our data rights and ensure our safety online. So that's basically it. Okay, guys, so I'm seeing y'all are introducing yourselves. As we wait for Esther to rejoin back, guys, Victor is here. Thank you for joining us. Shali from Kisumu, thank you so much for being part of this webinar. Raymond, thank you for joining. Hi, Happy, thank you for joining. Dama and Kamaria from Nakuru, thank you so much for joining us. Andrew from Kenya, thank you so much for joining us also. Hi, Kelly, welcome. Brian, hello. Hi, Monica, welcome also to the webinar. Hi, Zari, welcome to the webinar. Hi, Kimberly Odhiambo, welcome to the webinar also. Hi, Irene, welcome to the webinar. Coach of Kenya, a certified professional advocates. She helps individuals and organizations navigate the complex world of data, privacy, and compliance, ensuring they meet legal standards while fostering trust and integrity. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar. I'm pretty sure we're gonna hear a lot from her. Hi, Mitch from Kisumu. Hi, Taraji from Kisumu. Hi, Raymond. Amitai. Hi, Jimmy. Welcome to the webinar. Who else is here? Just in case I forget, guys, I'm sorry. Also, if I butcher your name, I am sorry. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Kamaria. Right, the topic. Not specific topic, but I'll type in the theme of this webinar. Hopefully you guys can hear me. All right. Let me type in the theme for the webinar. The theme is children's data protection and legal issues. Data protection and legal issues. Once again, guys, thank you so much for getting the time to come and join this webinar. I'll be so glad to have, or rather, not, I'm glad to have you guys in the webinar joining us live. It's going live on YouTube. Yeah, going live on YouTube. My technical team has just confirmed. So yeah. Right, guys. As we introduce yourselves, I feel like let's make it a bit more fun. Does anyone here know how to sing or has a poem in mind or something that they want to tell us? Anyone at all? If so, type it in the chat. Tell us the poem or the song. Anyone at all?
Alamin, have we lost you?
No, I'm still here. I'm asking if there's anyone who has a sort of poem who wants to recite a poem for us or maybe sing for us to sort of invite people into the webinar. All right, if there's none there, I guess we can start on with our webinar. I see Esther is still not here. Okay, as we wait for her to join us. Is she here? If she's here, please, Esther, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm here.
please introduce yourself. Tell them who you are.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Sister Angie. I'm a child journalist at Mtoto News, and I'll be one of your hosts here at this webinar. As Alamina said, that our theme today is gonna be about the children's data protection and legal issues. Thank you.
Okay, so technical team, there's a child, Monica Osewe, says she has a poem. So if you can please allow her to use her mic, that'd be awesome.
She can use her mic now.
All right, Monica, take the stage and recite your poem for us.
Monica, you need to unmute yourself. We have allowed you to talk, so you just need to unmute. Just click the microphone. Yeah, that's fine.
My new battle drops is too
Go ahead.
heavy. It's too heavy to me.
Mari kuja, ache. Sema ingine.
Monica, are you going to do it? I think Monica is shy. Alamin, back to you.
Right, all right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Monica, do you think you're ready to recite? Okay.
Celebration. So we love it. All have gone so well. Preparation are gone. Balloons everywhere. Colors everywhere. So we love it. Years are so gone. Levels are so gone. Pre-primary to primary. So we love it. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome so much. Thank you so much for the poem, Monica. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed the poem. It was a lovely poem. Thank you so much, Monica. Right, guys, let's sort of jump into the webinar itself. And guys, if you have if you're given a chance to come on the stage, don't waste it, guys. Use it to your full potential, right? So if anyone else has a poem, just type out in the chat. Sooner or later, we're gonna need you to do that poem for us. All right. Guys, the first prospect of sort of basically everything on data protection is to first understand the issues themselves, right? You can't really start jumping onto the conclusions, jumping onto the solutions, jumping onto the body if you don't really know what you're trying to tackle or what the main issue is, right, guys? So we're first gonna have to learn or rather understand the problems and the issues we already face. And Esther is gonna be taking us through those issues. As you're here, it's your time.
Alamin, please come back again.
All right. So Esther, once again, we're going to start off with the sort of basis on the questions. And like I said, you can't start going to the solutions without understanding the problem. So we're starting off with the questions based on understanding the problem of data protection.
Okay, we have, okay, why is protecting our data online important for children like us? And we need to understand what are some of the dangers that children might face when using apps or websites without knowing about data protections.
So kids, if you have the answer, just lift up your hand and then we will be able to help you. Okay, Victor. Adults, please. This is for kids. We'll give you a chance later. Okay, Victor, go ahead. They have put the question in the chat. Victor Mwangi, go ahead. Yes, Victor. Victor Mwangi, are you able to talk, or Andrew? Is it Andrew or Victor? Who is talking? Who is answering that?
It should be Victor Mwangi.
Okay, Victor, you need to unmute yourself. Okay, his hand is down. Andrew, do you want to answer that question? Oh, Victor, go ahead.
So hi, my name is Victor Maina, and I think the dangers that affect us while using social media platforms, one of them is cyberbullying that mostly affects like 70% of the children's today into daily life. Thank you.
Esther Angie, please repeat the question.
Okay, I'll repeat the questions. First question is, why is protecting our data online important, especially for children like us? And then what are some of the dangers children might face when using apps or websites without knowing about data protection?
I saw Andrew. Andrew's hand. Is it Andrew? Yes, Andrew, go
Yes.
ahead. Yeah.
My answer to the second question is that the reason why children should have the dangers that might be faced when children use social media are, I agree with Victor, cyberbullying, and there's also viewing inappropriate content. Yes.
Anybody else? You can lift up your hand. Anybody else? You can lift up your hand. And then question number one, either Grace or Howie can be able to respond. Oh, yes, you can answer the question. I've seen a question. Yes, you can answer the question in the chat. Okay, question number one. Esther Angie, ask question one first, and then you do question two. Esther.
Okay. Okay, for question one, it's why is protecting our data online important, especially for children like us?
Anybody wants to answer that? Guys, don't be shy.
Guys, don't be shy to answer the question. All answers are right in this space, regardless. All right, guys? So don't be scared to push forward what you think is the right answer.
Yes, Monica, you can go ahead. Let me unmute you. Go ahead, Monica.
Predators often use online platforms to target and exploit vulnerable children and youth.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Victor.
So I think it will help in in boosting the children's self-esteem in the way they actually handle social media platforms. Because when one person is actually like, when he is actually cyberbullied, his self-esteem may go down, I think.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Howie, do you want to go and answer question number 1?
Yes, sure, I can go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I guess you've introduced me. My name is Howie, a legal policy consultant and data protection and cybersecurity. Yeah, oh, sorry. Okay, let me just answer. Basically, it's the reason why it's important for data protection is important for children is so that you could say so that their data is processed in a lawful and respectful manner, and so that not in a way that can be harmful to the child, or in a way that maybe the data is processed in a way that the child doesn't know. Let's say if a photo is taken of a child and put on a website or put on an advertisement, and the child does not know, that's very unethical and very unlawful. So that may be my quick answer to that question.
Grace? Grace, do you want to answer that one? And you can switch on your camera now.
Okay, so I think there are many reasons, including the ones that Monica and Victor have given. The one I'd like to add is just for you to think about yourselves in the future. So right now, your kids, and then in the future, you'll be grown-ups, and maybe you'll change some of the so many things about you will change, from your physical body to also how you think. So right now, maybe even your friends, the people you hang out with, as you grow older, you'll get into new groups of friends and so on and so forth. And that is totally fine, and it's the process of growing that everybody goes through. So why data protection is important is because nobody should use what you did as a child to judge you when you're older, unless you want them to use it. So maybe if something like how your face has changed or something like that, maybe when you're a teenager, you don't feel so good about it, but maybe when you're much, much older, you feel good about it. So it should be you as a child to choose when you're ready. Yeah, maybe when you're ready to show your baby pictures, to show your pictures when you are preteen, to show your pictures when you're a teenager, to show your pictures when you're all grown up and what changed. So one of the reasons why children's data should be protected is so that in future, it is up to the child as they grow up to decide what they want to show to the world. And we shouldn't, use that data to completely judge you and say that that is all you are. Yet, you keep changing every day. I don't know whether that is understood, but I think it's just to give you that freedom and to preserve your freedom when you grow up. Back to you.
Yes, go ahead, Monica.
Children are frequently exposed to a wide range of inappropriate and harmful content online.
Victor, you can go ahead.
I would like to add something on how Monica has said. It may lead to inappropriate content where children may be exposed to age-inappropriate content which may harm them mentally because their mind are not mature to handle things like that. So it may harm them mentally and physical or mentally and spiritually.
Al-Amin, back to you.
Hey, thank you so much, guys, for those lovely, lovely, lovely answers on the sort of the reasons why you think protecting our data is important, especially for children like us, and some of the dangers might face when using apps or websites without knowing about data protection. Now, I want to pass this over to Mr. Howie Alot. I'd like him to answer. Can you tell us if the laws in Kenya are strong enough to protect children's data online? And what changes would you like to see in the laws to better protect children's information online?
Thank you very much, Ahmed. In my opinion, the laws of Kenya are very strong. We, of course, we have the Constitution of Kenya under Article 31 that provides for our right to privacy. We have the Data Protection Act, and we have also the Children's Act also, which provides various, which also provides. And just to briefly summarize, it puts a lot of emphasis on the interests and the best interest of the child when it comes to protecting data. And there are very, very strong safeguards. Children are regarded as a special group that cannot directly give consent for any of that data to be processed. The data has to be processed through the oversight and supervision of an adult who is a parent or guardian. I would say maybe if any change, I would say in future, I would say to the law would be maybe to put more control in the hands of the child, because of course, while parents and guardians are to provide reasonable supervision and oversight over their data, their access to data, there's also the question of there may be some communications that maybe a child might want even restricted from the parent to themselves. And so there's that question of how do we go about giving a child those controls, and also maybe laws to do with how to educate a child to know what a suspicious website is, or what when an app is asking you for information that should not be appropriate. How should the child deal with that, either by reporting or by some other mechanism, I would say. But I believe that the laws of Kenya are very strong in terms of protecting the best interests of the child.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Howie. This question can also go towards all the rest of the children who are currently, and that is, what changes would you like to see in the laws to better protect children's information online? So if anyone wants to say something towards this, go on. The floor is open for you guys.
Victor's hand is up. You can repeat the question or put it in the chat, probably.
Okay, let me rewrite the question in the chat as the question is what changes would you like to see in the laws to better protect children's information online?
So the question is, let me just read it as Alamin has written it. How can we, what do you want to change? What changes would you like to see in the laws to better protect children's information online? This is what do you want the government to do, maybe school, maybe even your parents, so that they can better protect you, so that your information is not everywhere, okay? And people don't misuse your information. So that is the question. What would you want to be done? Okay, I've seen Victor's hand is up, but Victor has spoken. Anybody wants to speak? Charlie, do you want to speak? Charlie, do you want to speak? Okay. Okay. Anybody else wants to speak? Victor, you can go ahead. Zuri, thank you, Zuri. Anybody else? I want to allow all of you so that we can go. I will type. Okay. Cecilia. Anybody else wants to talk? Okay. Let's start with Zuri. And then we go to Zuri and then Cecilia and then Victor, because Victor has spoken. And then we can end up with Charlie. Yes, Zuri, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Zuri and I have to say that the government should have good laws that ensure this right to privacy of children. Personal information is protected and those who do follow them are arrested. Also, all children should be aware of their rights to make sure they are followed.
Thank you, Zuri. You can mute yourself, Zuri. Cecilia?
First of all, I feel as if that our parents will have an opportunity to give a consent if the information should be leaked or should be given out to the government or somewhere else. And also as the children should be given a platform to be asked if we want the information to be given somewhere.
Okay, Cecilia, can I ask you a question? So I know we did ask you for consent for this. Do you want your parents or yourself to give consent?
Yes.
Who should be given, you or your parents should give consent?
My parent and also me, because my parent can say yes, but me, I don't want.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, there was a hand up. Victor, go ahead, Victor.
So I think every parent should be educated about children's data protection to avoid things like cyberbullying, which may lower child self-esteem. Also, at least all parents should be able to know what their children are doing when they check their phones and go to social media. So they should be aware. Thank you.
Okay, Abigail, go ahead. Abigail, I have unmuted you, I think. Have I? Oh, I've removed you. Oh God, I hope I've not removed you. And I know you had put your chat. Anybody else wants to talk? Cecilia, do you have anything to talk or you? Charlie, yes. Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Charlie.
Okay, the first one is stronger penalties for violations, like companies that misuse or expose our data should face heavy fines or bans from operating in certain regions. And then the second one is transparency Like privacy policies should be written in simple language so that children and their guardians can easily understand what data is collected and how it's used. Yeah.
Thank you, Shirley. Anybody else? Someone has not spoken before? Anybody else? Okay. Monica, yes. Go ahead, Monica.
They should explain age limits and age-appropriate sites.
Yeah.
Then they should also talk to other parents and schools when allowing children to come with digital devices to school. They should ensure that every digital device has a parental guidance control in them.
Okay. Lara, I've been told, Lara, there's a group that has a gadget behind Brian Omondi. So Lara, can you be able to talk? I don't know. Can you, I've unmuted you. Lara, go ahead. Brian Omondi, please unmute yourself.
I don't think it's up to the government. I think it's up to the parents to educate their children and also not allow them to use like those platforms like TikTok, Snapchat at such a young age.
Thank you, Lara. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Your second name is Ibrahim. You can unmute yourself. Kamaria Ibrahim.
Kamaria Ibrahim, go on and unmute yourself.
Parents or guardians should oversee their children when they are online.
Thank you. Victor, you said you wanted to add something. Go ahead, Victor.
So this part goes to the children. If they find anything online that's threatening their privacy, they should actually report to the elderly or their teachers around or parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Monica, did you want to add anything? Or is someone, because Monica said you are sharing a gadget with someone. Do you want to say something? You need to unmute yourself. Okay, back to you, Alamin.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Miss Jenny. Thank you for the sort of whole concept of giving the children here a chance to speak. Lovely. So this goes to the children themselves and some of the adults who are also, or rather, who will be willing to answer these questions. How can children like us help make sure our voices are heard when it comes to creating rules about our data? Let's start off with that question first before we hop on to the next one. Who feels like they've got an answer for this? Anybody? If so,
repeat the question. Repeat the question.
Once again. Okay. How can children like us help make sure our voices are heard when it comes to creating rules about our data? Did we hear that?
How can we participate? We as children, how can we be involved in making rules or laws to do with data protection? How protection of data should be done for our own data shall be protected? Anybody with the answers? Alamin, I'll start with you.
Okay, sure. Why not? Honestly, the first point is to basically, the fact that we're here is one of those ways. We need to involve ourselves in this sort of talks that concern us and our data. Like a webinar like this one, if you had no children, then us children wouldn't be helping, or rather wouldn't be participating in making the rules sort of to guideline our data protection. Another thing is to basically know how to not cross a specific limit, right? As a child, I feel like there's specific limits in technology, in data, in basically the online digital space. There are specific limits that you're not to cross, that you're not supposed to reach onto. So no, and most children do pass that, but I feel like the first step is starting with us ourselves, not to be able to cross some specific limits. So yeah, that's my answer.
Anybody else? Okay, Shannon. And then please, Shannon, and then Shirley. Anybody else? Go on, Shannon.
I think we should be able to have access to, okay, not exactly, but to nurture children agencies like Mtoto News, which has been providing a lot of platforms for us to be able to express our thoughts and ideas on how we want our data to be used. Yeah.
Thank you, Shannon. Victor? Victor, go ahead. We can't hear you. You need to talk. Okay, come again, your name, I don't. Kamaria? Kamaria, please go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
This is Kamaria. I feel like the children, as children, should take the initiative to get more knowledge about how to operate in the digital space safely and without fear, so that we just get to know how to do these things, and that's how the others can also help us with it.
Thank you, Kamaria. Victor, go ahead.
So I think like conducting small groups where like a class designs a group where you are able to share ideas about education and about how to avoid social media threats that affect us in day-to-day lives.
Thank you, Victor. Shannon again. Shannon, your hand is up again. Okay, Shirley. Shirley, go ahead, Shirley.
Okay, so yeah, like we children can participate in like, okay, wait. You see, like the way governments, maybe when they're making new laws, they invite feedback. So like children can share their views during these consultations, either directly or through schools and youth groups. And then also governments and organizations can create panels where children discuss their online experiences and suggest ideas for better data protection. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask a question? And I'm sure all of you can lift up your hand. How many know there is a Data Protection Act in this country? How many know? Victor, you're the only person who knows. Andrew? Yeah, I know Andrew, you know. Who else? Okay. Shirley, you know there's the Data Protection Act. Shannon? Who else? Grace, you see, we have a lot of work to do. How many know? Thank you, Happy. Children don't know about the Data Protection Act. Cecilia knows about the Data Protection Act. Okay. Cecilia, do you want to say what it says? What does the Data Protection Act say? I've allowed you to talk. And then Shirley, and then Andrew. Just a bit, what does the Data Protection Act say?
The Data Protection Act in Kenya, it says that the right to privacy is enriched in the Constitution, and the Office of Data Commissioner has to regulate the processing of the personal data.
Thank you, Cecilia. Andrew, what does the Data Protection Act say?
The Data Protection Act simply gives a right to every child to ensure that they have their own privacy and no one can simply interfere with their data.
Okay. And how do people interfere with their data? Anybody knows? Victor, yes. And then let me back your meeting.
I think making mean posts or suggestions when you like share something in social media.
Okay, thank you. Alamin, back to you.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, guys, for those lovely, lovely answers. Thank you so much. All right. I'm glad to see that you guys have a sort of understanding on basically everything so far. But I think it's finally time to take a sort of small break. So, guys, remember earlier in this introduction of the webinar, I was talking about someone reciting a poem, and we had Monica's little sister, that is Mitch, come and recite a poem for us. Who else is willing to come and recite a poem for us? If you are, type it down in the chat. We're gonna give you guys the opportunity to mic up.
Victor, do you want to do a poem? Well, that's an old hand. Okay. Back to you, Alam.
Okay, guys, this was a good session. We have learned a lot, things that we haven't known. We have known. And anyone who has a poem or something funny, it's not a must for it to be a poem, or it's not a must for you to sing. You can just say something funny that will make people laugh. So anyone? Guys, please.
There's Kamaria.
Okay.
You can unmute yourself, Kamaria.
Lives are crying because it's not clean. Earth is dying because it's not green. Earth is our dear mother, don't pollute it. She gives us food and shelter, just salute it. With global warming, it's in danger. Let's save it by becoming strong rangers. With dying trees and animals, it's in sorrow. Make green today and green tomorrow. With melting snow, one day it will sink. How can we save it? Just think. Trees are precious, preserve them. Water is a treasure, reserve it. Grow more trees, make Mother Earth green. Reduce pollution and make it a queen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamaria. That was a nice poem. Anyone else?
Zuri. You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I have a song. I have a song from one of my favorite programs, and I just don't know one part of it.
Go ahead, Zuri.
Take me down to the basement. Fill the buckets with tears. To call your mother with coffee. Tell her I know that sometimes make it with the then give Rebels to the sailors. Na, na, na. Every won't pay for the song was its pop.
Thank you, Zuri. Jimmy Osewe. Jimmy. You need to unmute yourself, Jimmy, though. Okay.
Our new baby came to stay. She arrived just yesterday. She doesn't talk, she doesn't write. All she does is sleeps and cry. Still, my parents really love her. Come seems to get enough of her. I wonder if they say this way. When I was a baby, who came to stay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Victor, go ahead.
Umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. Tuungane tuijenge nchi yetu. Umoja ni nguvu, umoja ni nguvu. Utengano ni udhaifu. Tuungane tuilinde mazingira yetu. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much, Victor. That was a nice song, Umoja ni Nguvu. Anyone else? I think Jimmy has another one. Or let us give opportunity to Monica. Monica, please unmute yourself.
My red purple bag is too heavy for me. All day I have to carry it. Still.
Acha kujifanya.
Okay, let me take anything back. Is it Esther or Alamin?
Okay, guys. Welcome back again. We are going to continue from where we stopped from. So this question is for parental and adult support. And our first question is, how can children like us, how can parents and teachers help us understand the risks of sharing personal information online?
Howie?
If you haven't had me clear.
Howie?
Hello?
Howie, do you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I've heard you. What can parents and guardians do to help us understand? Okay, let's see. I guess it begins with sensitization. I think just even through forums like this, through the Mtoto News and just any other forums where it can be discussed, the issues of strong passwords and avoiding suspicious websites, or just teaching people the proper methods of data protection. Not sharing your videos or sharing personal information about maybe your birthday or your location or things about your family members. Things like those could be very helpful in assisting the children to understand their risks. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Grace?
Thank you very much, Howie. Anyone else?
Grace?
Victor? Okay.
Grace, do you want to go?
I'd say that on top of awareness, which Howie has spoken about, that as parents, we also need to practice safety for our kids. So, parents should also limit what they share online about their children and not overshare about their children. And also do what we call digital safety. Like parents should have passwords, log out after they have gone to, some websites. They should also not go to websites that are not kid friendly, especially on devices that are also used by kids. So also parents have to practice digital. It's called digital hygiene, which is just the same way, the way we wash our hands, the way we don't take our outside shoes, we don't walk with them in the house. As parents, we also have to do that with our digital devices.
Thank you. I can see the kids also want to answer. I will start with Jimmy. Jimmy Osewe. And then Victor, and then Kamaria. And there's also Zuri. Okay, Jimmy, are you going to go ahead? Okay, Jimmy's not there. Kamaria? Go ahead, Kamaria.
Yes, I think the parents can help the children. I think the parents can help the children by monitoring the websites that their children browse on. Like, for example, they can limit their children to kid-friendly websites and apps like YouTube Kids, Netflix. It has a section for adults and kids. So I think they can also limit to that and help them realize the risk of sharing their personal information online slowly, gradually, so that they get to understand, and not just to be forced to do that, but they learn to do that for their own good. I think that's more efficient than just telling them.
Thank you, Kamaria. Zuri?
Parents should be polite when they are preventing us from watching adult stuff. Like my mom, when I'm just scrolling and she shouts at me, "What are you watching?" And I have no idea what is happening. That hurts my feelings very badly. Thank you.
Thank you, Zuri. Jimmy, go ahead. Jimmy? Okay, Cecilia? Or is it Monica? Monica? Okay, guys. Go ahead, Monica.
So parents and teachers, they should teach us on disadvantages and consequences of sharing personal information in online places. A good example is the advertisement that DSTV has been showing around people, that they should be putting parental guidance control in every child's digital device. That can also help it helps in stopping children from watching bad videos and long online places.
There is Happy. Yes, Happy. And then Victor.
Okay, so one way is setting boundaries and guidelines. A point under that is they should create rules for online sharing. by establishing clear rules about what information can and cannot be shared online, including the use of social media, games, or chat apps. Yeah.
Thank you, Happy. Victor. Camilla, is that an old hand? Victor, go ahead.
So I think teachers can organize club section in the school where learners are able to talk about themselves and the challenges they have been facing through the week while using social media. An example is one of the club that happened in our school. Its name was S12, meaning Essential Wellness, where learners are able to talk about themselves, about social media platforms, and the challenges that they are facing, and the solution that they can come up with fixing those challenges. And I'm sorry if I'm shrubbing. I have a little problem, so thanks.
Thank you, Victor. You're not shrubbing. You're doing so well. Thank you. Kamaria, you have another point?
I'm sorry, this is not a point, but I would just like to request if you could. There's some people who use the chat box, but you are not frequently visiting the chat box to read the points or the. So I'm just requesting if you can follow that.
Okay. Alamini, do you want to read the points in the chat box?
Yes, sure, why not? If the poems are selected down. Let me see.
Go ahead. There's some points. Okay, there are no points in there. People are just saying thanks.
I can't see any points in the chat box.
Okay, anybody else? And then back to you, whoever is asking the question, Esther or Alamin.
Okay, the second question is, what should parents and caregivers look out for to protect children when we use apps or the internet? I will repeat the question again. What should parents and caregivers look out for to protect children when we use apps or the internet?
Okay, I see Victor and then I see Jimmy. The question is in the chat box if you did not hear it. Okay, Victor. Victor, go ahead. Victor.
So I think parents should put strict rules to their children and warn them about social media threats, I think, and also they should actually be able to be there when their child need them. Like for example, when they are searching something, the parents should be there to know what the child is actually searching or how is it helping him.
I don't know who is it Abigail?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I was saying, make sure the things that they're searching and watching are safe so they cannot be interacted in cyberbullying.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Abigail.
I would also like to say something, Lara. Parental guidance is the key for children not to give out personal information to the internet, and also like YouTube has formed a platform where children can use YouTube but in a safe environment so that they will not be searching bad things or looking at things that are bad in the internet.
Thank you. Back to you, Alami. Or is it Estanji?
Okay. Okay, we are done with the questions about the parents and adult support. So we are going to the challenges in digital access. So I'm going to ask this question. First, the challenges are many kids use the internet without understanding how our data is collected. What can be done to make it easier for us to understand what happens to our data? I'll repeat the question. What can be done to make it easier for us to understand what happens to our data? While many kids use the internet without understanding how our data is collected.
Anybody wants to answer that? Like, when you're going online, someone is using your data. So, okay, who is that? Is Howie. Yes, Howie, go ahead.
Yes, maybe I can try and answer the question. I guess it goes to maybe the child must be made to understand the concept of consent and why it's important that before anything is done with, before they are asked any question, before even you're asked what is your name, you must consent to that. So it's about understanding what consent is and under what is you could say what is a valid use of their data. For instance, let's say if a website is asking you for your personal, before you can play a video game on a website, they have asked you for your personal information. Maybe they ask you about details about your parents, or bank accounts, or anything like that. They should be able to know that that is an invalid way. There's no, on the internet, it should not be that for you to be granted access to any service, let's say even to watch cartoons or to maybe to watch a sports game or to play a video game, there should be no situation where your personal information should be required for you to be able to access that. So it's about understanding concept and also consent, and also just what is the legal basis for why am I being asked for my name or my home address or anything that can be used to personally identify me.
Thank you, Howie. Grace, do you want to answer that before the children start?
I think another thing that kids can do is to teach other kids. Because like in this webinar, the kids who've spoken, they've said everything they've said in such a simple and understandable way. I think that is so great. And if you spoke to more kids, then more kids would know that there are good sides and there are bad sides to the internet, and we all have to use the internet and use it safely. So I think all of the children here need to keep explaining to other children in the simple way that you have explained to us. Like all of us will go to our next business with a lot of understanding on what the issues are. I think the other thing I wanted to say is that we also have to work harder at understanding the issue of addiction and overuse of digital tools. Increasingly, there are people who are becoming so obsessed with digital tools that they are unable to do anything else. Yeah, so it's important that we also teach ourselves how to use digital tools for the right amount of time, that we don't overdo it, that our brain doesn't become so used to, like our phone, that every time you have a free moment, all you're thinking about is using your phone. Even when you're in church or when you're in school, that you're unable to concentrate unless you have your phone. That is something else that we have to think about and learn how to balance between doing all the other activities that we need to do as we are kids and growing up, play, hang out with your friends, have conversations with your friends, and balance that with being online and using digital tools. Back to you.
Al-Amin?
Pardon, Miss Jenny, there's a bit network faulty connection here. You're saying?
Back to you. Victor had an
Right,
answer.
right. Okay. Are there any answers that have been sent over towards the chat box? No. Okay, Victor, you can shoot your answer. He has permission to speak in the mic, doesn't he?
Yes, he has, and there's a response by Happy.
Okay. All right. Happy says they should look out for the privacy settings, app permissions, and in-app purchases and ads. Yeah. We can go on to Victor's answer now. Go on.
So I think this challenge is mostly caused by peer pressure, where a child wants to become like the other child. Like, for example, they are in a class and one of the child says that he had visited a particular link. So he shares to them so that they can go like Google on it or search. So I think and children should avoid sharing their personal information or their parents' information because it may lead to hacking and furthermore. Thank you.
Thank you, Al-Amin.
All right. Thank you for that answer. We can jump on to the next sort of context piece, which I'm guessing is over the questions for the child panelists and the adult panelists. So for the child panelists, I'm guessing that's me and Esther. Right. So personal experience as a child, how do you feel sharing your personal information on apps or websites? At times I feel like some specific websites and some specific apps can ask for way too much information. So sometimes not so good and sometimes it's all right. Have you ever faced challenges or felt unsafe while using digital platforms? What happened and how did you deal with it? I don't think I've ever faced much of a challenge or any issue regarding some online platforms. So I don't think I have any problem whatsoever. But I feel like if children face some specific challenges, maybe let's say cyberbullying or online hate, for example, the first step you can take is maybe if you're in an app like Instagram, for example, the first measure you can take is to basically block, restrict, and report the person. So that's my sort of personal experience. Esther, I'm gonna hand it over to you and sort of gauge on what your personal experience is in terms of how you feel about sharing your personal information on apps or websites. So Esther, if you're there, please go on and answer.
Okay, for my answers, me as a child, like you have asked as a child, how do I feel about sharing my personal information? I've never shared my personal information. I'm not in social media, so I've never shared my personal information. For the second question, how have you ever faced challenges or felt unsafe? So I've never faced challenges. I've never felt unsafe because I don't share my personal information. I'm not in social media platforms. So I've never felt unsafe. I've never felt any challenges. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for that answer, Esther. Maybe we can have an answer from one more child, and then I can send over a question to one of the adults. If any child is willing to answer this question, please raise up your hand and we'll give you a chance to talk as we move on to the adult panelists.
Someone like Brian Arocho has raised his hand. Brian, please unmute yourself.
Esther, Angie, I think, but we're using social media right now. And okay, like I understand if you've not used social media platforms like TikTok, Snapchat, those things that like children your age use. And I think this is social media right now.
Okay, Alamin, back to you.
Right, thank you so much for that answer. Right, for one of I'm gonna let this question circulate around all the other panelists. That is Mr. Howie Alot, Madam Grace, and I'm pretty sure there's someone else. So for the question, in terms of gaps in legislation, and this is for Mr. Howie, I'm pretty sure. What are the biggest legal gaps in Kenya's data protection laws when it comes to children?
Well,
all right, sorry. The question is, what are the biggest legal gaps in Kenya's data protection laws when it comes to children?
In my opinion, I feel like maybe the biggest gaps is maybe there needs to be more detailed legislation to do with how to deal with a child in an educational setting. If a child, let's say, is in school or is in boarding, how do you handle the privacy issues of that? Because maybe it might be a situation where the parent is not always available to give consent, and it's maybe something involving the child's personal development. So how do we deal with that? In other jurisdictions, in America, they have more detailed laws that specifically deal with how a child is to engage with privacy issues in an educational situation, maybe either in boarding school or just in any educational facility. That's one of the major gaps I see. Our laws are very, you could say, are very basic. Our laws on data protection, basically, they're modeled after European laws. I think it's just a matter of now on a deeper level. That's what I see as a gap.
Thank you. Alamin, I think.
Sorry again. All right. So the next question goes on to a child rights advocate and / digital expert, that is Miss Grace Pretty Shaw. What steps, or rather, sorry, how does children's data protection intersect with other issues like cyberbullying and digital literacy?
Thank you for the question. All those issues are very connected because if we don't protect children's data, then their data can be exposed, and then they can easily suffer, things like cyberbullying. And so it's important that people who process children's data, and by this I mean like companies that have apps that children are interacting with, they put in some measures, because it's important that if it's children who are accessing the apps, they are protected more than if it's adults. And so in the law, the law just says children should be protected, and that children, for you to get a child on your app, there should be parental consent. But the law needs to go deeper and find ways, for example, for children to complain, find ways that children who have been affected, their issues can be resolved really fast, because they are likely to suffer more. Like cyberbullying for a child, imagine it's more serious than cyberbullying for an adult. Yeah, because a child would be affected more, and a child is still a child. They are still growing, and it might do harm to even their self-esteem and even to how they grow. So those issues are very, very connected, and that's why protecting the data of children is very, very important.
Thank you so much for that, Miss Grace. This next question goes to Miss Jennifer. Other than this webinar, how else can we include children's perspectives in policy making and technology design? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adlamin, for the question. I'm hoping you guys can see me because I can't see myself. So apart for us, there's something called the design principles. And this means when you are designing safety by design, is you're designing and taking into considerations the welfare of children and their safety and their privacy. So you're not just designing for the sake of designing, you are putting children. And this means you have to include children from the beginning of your design, not after you have done and then you come and test the product on them or test the policy on them. It's you start with them and ask them questions. What do you want in this product? And product meaning so maybe a social media platform or a game or a website. Ask them, what do you want and how can we make it better? How can we make it safe for you? Okay, make it throughout the process from when you are drawing the design or the mock-ups all the way to when you have finished and you have coded it, you've included children throughout. And then you take it back to children and let them test and tell you, improve here and here and here, okay? And maybe after a few months, take it back to the children and ask them, is this working? So as Mtoto News, one of our strategies we do is we have a strategic pillar on safety by design or privacy by design, whatever. A part of safety by design is privacy by design. And we are working with policy people, we are working with designers, we are working with product managers to ensure that they include children in their processes, okay? And this is not just coming and talking in the webinar, it's sitting and in the office, like you can see behind where Alamin is seated on his background, is something that we are designing with children. Okay, you come, we sit with you and we help you to design with children. Okay, so when you're designing with children, that means you already have included their perspectives, their views in whatever you're doing. Okay, I'm hoping there's someone from the ODPC here, Office of the Data Protection Commissioner. It's 5 years. We need to evaluate the act from a children's perspective. Okay, there's this rule like about protecting children's data in schools. Schools have come up with all these policies, but do children actually know about it? Okay, do children actually, have we evaluated that? Okay, in this age of phones and cameras everywhere, We see children going to school with phones and they take photos of their teachers, of themselves, or teachers themselves carrying phones and recording their students. Do children know actually about this? We need to evaluate it from a children perspective, and we see how can we be able to include children in this very important law that protects their data. Okay, so for me, it's not just policy, but also the whole process of coming up with all this. Before we start running to ODPC, someone has violated my data. It's how did you actually take the steps to ensure that it's protected? So at Mtoto News, we have a number of children, and you've seen from across the country who are willing to come and sit with you and tell you of based on what you have developed. If you have an EdTech solution, or you have a game solution, or you have a website, or you're a content creator and you want to include children, we have children who can be able to help you to think through those products so that children can be able to be included, not just on policy making, but also in making those things that you are making. Thank you so much. I hope I've answered your question, Alamin. Thank you.
You have. Thank you so much for your answer, Ms. Jennifer. Now we're gonna kick it over to Esther for this next session that she's going to be taking us to. So, Esther, if you're here, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Alamin. Here we are going to talk about the call to action for the stakeholders, who is Howie and Grace. So my question is, what is one key action that policymakers, parents, or campaigns should take immediately to enhance children data protection? What are your call to action? First, we go to Howie.
I say my call to action, I would say this, I guess I would say towards myself and also to other data and privacy professionals, is to advocate for better and stronger laws that help the children first be sensitized about the issues of data and privacy laws. It helps protect them, and also that impose stiffer punishments. I feel like that was a running thing that people felt like people in this forum have felt that data processors who process data for children without their consent or knowledge should face tougher and more stiffer punishments. So we should advocate for stronger and stiffer punishments like that. It's also to do with I felt like panelists also felt like parents should have more control and oversight. So it's about how do these apps, YouTube and TikTok, how do they work, and how can parents can have more control, even in terms of just, let's say if a child is watching a video and in that video a stranger asks them to do certain things, maybe to harm their family members or to share information. How can a parent have more oversight over that? So it's I think it's for me and for other people in my position, it's about advocating for stronger laws that help with these issues.
Thank you very much, Howie, for your call to action. And we go to Grace. What is your call to action for us for the enhancement to children data protection?
I would say one thing we can do, and working with the data commissioner, is to create or to translate the Data Protection Act, which is the law that talks about how data should be handled. We should create a child-friendly version of it Why? Because children need to know about data protection. Also, children's data is already being collected, and also children are the data protection people of tomorrow. So it's very, very important that all children get to understand data protection in a nice and simple way, so that they can be able to call out people who are not processing data in the correct way, or people who are, misusing their data, harassing children online, collecting data of children online, and so on and so forth. That's my call to action.
Thank you very much, Grace. We're going to you, Alamin, and this is for you. This question is for you, Alamin. So the question is, what advice would you give to other children to protect themselves and their data online? Alamin?
Okay. All right. So you said what advice I would give to children to protect themselves and their data online. Okay. So guys, like I said earlier, there's a specific limit you're not supposed to cross. So the first piece of advice I would give you is to set limits and boundaries. There's a specific, you can give out information, but there's a specific limit, or rather amount of information that you do not give out, right? For example, you can give out your name, but maybe your age, maybe your credentials, where you live, like your social security number and stuff like that. You can't give that out. You give out your name and that's the end of it. And sometimes you're not even supposed to give out your name. So my advice to every other child who's here is set limits and boundaries. Thank you.
Okay. And my advice to other children is that kids, you need to keep your personal information private. Avoid sharing personal information, details like full name, address, full number, or school name. And even use strong passwords. Encourage using unique and strong passwords for each account to prevent unauthorized access. And you can even, like, something else that you need to do is think before sharing, before posting anything online. Think, like, you need to consider the potential consequences. While I share this video or this post, this photo, what are the consequences of me sharing this photo? The other thing is you set privacy setting. The other thing is you just be cautious with links. Advice, like, be careful with clicking on links or downloading attachments from unknown sources to avoid malware. And my last advice is that talk about online safety. Have open discussion about online safety so that you can feel comfortable talking about any concerns that you may have. That is my advice to you, my fellow kids. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you, Esther, for your answer. Hi, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of the webinar. It was lovely having you guys. It was lovely hearing your answers. Thank you, Mr. Howie, for getting the time to join us. Thank you, Ms. Grace, also for having the time to join us. I'm sure your schedules are pretty busy, so we highly and very much appreciate you guys joining the webinar. It really means a lot to have experts to give on bits of advice and bits of words of wisdom from their criteria of work to us, the children, so that we can learn more about data protection. I've learned a lot from you guys. I've learned very much. Thank you so much, guys, for getting the time itself to come and join us. Yeah, hopefully we see you guys soon. Esther, maybe you have a few words to tell them before we end off. But thank you guys so much for joining us.
Okay. for what I would like to say is like, thank you very much, Mr. Howie, a lot, and Miss Grace, and even Miss Jennifer for giving us kids this opportunity to learn about what you have been learning. And then we have learned a lot. We are taking home a lot. And thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too. This was really, really amazing.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week for another webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was very wonderful. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was really fun. Thank you a lot. I had so much fun.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
We've learned a lot. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Hi, Zuri.
Oh, you gotta be